Monsters, movies, and mayhem.
I have somewhere like a 3-pack of his movies that came with the thing. No, it came with Prince of Darkness,
Village of the Damned.
Yes, Village of the Damned, and one other one that wasn't like The Thing or
The Fog.
They Live.
They Live. I got the same 3-pack
At Walmart?
No, I got it at Hollywood Video when they were going out of business.
Oh, I got it at Walmart.
How much you get it for?
Like $10.
$3.
Man, you had me beat. That's $1 a movie, sir.
Well, you know, it wasn't his fault. It was Hollywood Video's fault.
Yeah. But welcome to Monsters, Movies, and Mayhem.
Can I do the intro?
You want to do the intro? All right.
What's up, gamers? Monsters, Movies, and Mayhem here, aka MMM, or as I like to say, I'm your host, Murderface, with...
Oh, man, I didn't think of a middle name for this one.
Brian Blank Hidalgo. Brian Skull Hidalgo.
Brian Mids Hidalgo.
Brian Pube Pie Hidalgo.
Brian
Midsommar Hidalgo.
Brian May Queen Hidalgo.
Brian May Queen Hidalgo. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, PewPie.
Instead of PewDiePie, it's Brian PewPie.
Yeah. Well, in this episode, we're going to be covering Midsommar. But before we get into that, Brian, do you want to introduce our first segment?
Yes, our first segment is a segment we like to call The Gory Hole.
The Gory Hole.
The Gory Hole.
Where we like to discuss the goriest thing we saw this week.
Mm-hmm.
And this week, do you want to start it off or should I?
I will start mine off because my Gory Hole pick is actually a really underdog kind of movie. Is under the radar like movie. It's not horror, but it's very gory action, and it is Brawl on Cell Block 99.
Did you go to Digital Gym for this?
Digital Gym had invited us to go see Brawl on Cell Block 99 down in San Diego, and they had this on the big screen. It was packed. They had people in, inmate uniforms so they can get really into it. And before the film, they actually had a one-on-one with the director to go on the projector. They had like a Zoom call. They interviewed him about the movie and how it was. But man, it was awesome. Shout out to Digital Gym for inviting us to San Diego to go see that. They played lots of great stuff.
They do.
What was the last thing that they invited us to?
The last thing we saw at Digital Gym was Serpent and the Rainbow.
That's right.
One of my favorite Wes Craven films.
Such a good movie.
So great. And it was in 16 millimeter.
That's what they found the reel for that.
Yeah.
So someone that collects like movie reels, I found a 16 millimeter of that movie.
Yeah. So we got to see it in 16 millimeter. It was so awesome. It was grainy. You
like being in the time machine.
Yeah. It was definitely,
my first time seeing it.
Really?
Yeah, my first time seeing it. It was one of the Wes Craven movies that I have not seen.
Yeah, definitely.
It was really good.
Definitely a solid pick for them.
We saw Brawl on Cell Block 99.
Yes.
And it was... So I did have to leave it a little early, but I did watch the rest of it on Tubi.
Okay.
And there was one scene that was so gory. Vince Vaughn is a mountain of a man. And I don't know why they don't play him in more like action or horror movies, because he fits the role.
I mean, he did. He played Norman Bates.
That was him?
Yeah, in the remake.
Oh, that's right. And well, he was definitely a little more violent than Norman Bates in this one. He
less
is
pervy. I'm assuming
less pervy,
or more.
Less pervy.
Okay.
And so he was. He's a family man in this movie. He is. He's doing some like drug lord kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So he's in prison, and he's fighting this inmate who's like a martial arts expert, and Vince Vaughn is beating him up real bad. And so they're like trying to get him, like the other inmates, and he's like, back up or I'm gonna curb stomp this guy's head into the ground. And he's already got his foot like halfway in his skull because he's like on the ground.
Yeah.
And they're still coming at him, so he drags his foot with the guy's skull and scrapes the meat and flesh off of him, and he kicks it to flip him around, and you just see like clean bone, some meat hanging off right here. You can see like the open wound of the skull. He's dead for sure. And then he curb stops him because they were coming for him. Very good movie.
Oh man, you sold it to me.
Very underslept.
I've never
movie.
seen it, but now I definitely need to see this.
It is. It's like Vince Vaughn, like you've never seen.
Just awesome. Is he funny at all?
No.
No. Oh, awesome. And you said it's on Tubi?
That's right.
Well, I got something to watch tonight then.
Yes. So what was your pick for this week's Gory Hole?
So for this week's Gory Hole, I'd like to talk about a new release on Shudder. It's kind of close to what our topic is. It's called Glorious.
Nice.
And it's about a eldritch like horror god who takes up residence inside a park and ride bathroom. And the main character, who I forget his name, but he plays Sookie Stackhouse's brother. Okay. And he's also in Dead Silence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
So he shows up. You don't know why he's at that restroom, but he like been drinking the night before. But so he's in the bathroom and he's trapped in there, and someone comes in, and they're like, it's someone who's like monitoring the park or something like that, and he comes in and he's giving that guy a hard time. Mm-hmm. And the eldritch being who talks through a glory hole. I almost forgot that. So that's why it's called Glorious. So there's like a painted image of like a weird monster on the glory hole, and then it's just a hole. And he tells Jason Stackhouse, or that's not his name in this movie, but I can't remember the actor's name, to go into the stall, because he's like, for us to continue our conversation, a sacrifice has to be made.
Yeah, nice try.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been in this scenario before.
So he goes in there, and then all you see is this like blob of meat come out and just like engulf this guy and just like disintegrate him into blood.
Sick.
And like there's a bunch of blood pooling up in the bottom of the restroom and everything, and like he's in the stall, like he can't look, because the being told him like, you can't look at me.
Don't look at me.
Yeah, it's like if you look at me, then you're gonna go like mad.
Oh, okay.
It's too much for like the human mind.
Yeah.
To comprehend. So it's really good. The voice of the glory hole god thing is creature.
Right.
God is J. Jonah Jameson himself, J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, no.
Not to be confused with J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Gene Simmons.
Yeah. But
their love child, J.K. Simmons.
Yeah. Except he's not asking for any pictures of Spider-Man in this one.
Not yet.
No, not yet. But yeah, no, it's definitely a good one. It's kind of a trip. I would consider it in kind of like the vein of Color Out of, what was it called? Color
from Space.
Outer Space or something.
Yeah. The Nicolas Cage movie.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Kind of
like Mandy.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like those.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. And
That's
it's on, like I said, it's on Shudder.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a Shudder original.
Mm-hmm.
And they put out some pretty good stuff.
Is it a very artsy kind of movie?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Should I wear my circle lenses and turtleneck for that one too?
Yeah. Your turtleneck and chain?
The turtleneck and chain?
Yeah.
I'm pretty much only wearing this because Midsommar is a very artsy movie.
Yeah.
I love it though. It's great.
Yeah, that brings us into our topic for today. The movie we're going to be discussing for the rest of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Midsommar.
Skull.
Cheers.
We're drinking mushroom tea.
Yep.
So this will feel great.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go into this movie, and we're going to start with Act 1. Act 1. It's a cold winter. We meet Danny, who's stressed over a final message from her sister, who's cryptically saying she's going to kill herself and her parents. Danny calls her boyfriend Chris, and we meet his friends Mark, Josh, and Pele. Danny's family dies. We get the title. Chris discusses going on a trip to Sweden to meet Pele's commune with the group, and Danny, as a last-minute addition, joins them. They arrive in Sweden, meet Simon and Connie, another group of tourists brought by Pele's old friends, and they take some mushrooms. Having a bad trip, Danny breaks away from the group. Hallucinations take place before she passes out, wakes up a few hours later. She's still disoriented from time, but the gang regroups at Pele's compound. That was Act 1.
Yes.
So
a lot of things happen in Act 1.
Do you want to start with the opening?
Yes. So, I mean, the opening is what, like it almost looks like a storybook, but it's depicting everything that's going to happen in the movie.
Wasn't that awesome?
That is so awesome. And then
it's like actual paintings too.
Yeah, and then it opens almost like a stage show, like we're gonna watch a puppet show,
like Midsommar, the actual play.
Yeah, exactly.
It's awesome.
So that's awesome.
But the whole movie is told.
Yeah,
in like the first second.
Yeah, that's why awesome. I just stopped watching the movie after that.
It was probably the first time I've seen that happen.
Yeah,
it was so good.
It was those credits. That like opening scene is so good.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the
snow.
The snow.
Yeah, so it's winter time.
Yeah, it's like heavy snow, which is weird because later on in the movie it's just bright like summer day.
Yeah.
So there's like a
correlation between the two.
Yeah. So, but she's panicking because her sister won't answer her. She sent her like a suicide note saying, like,
that's right.
I'm done, and I'm taking mom and dad with me.
Basically. Yeah.
But she calls her dickhead boyfriend Christian.
Christian is the worst person in this movie.
He just pretends to care, and whenever he's with his friends,
mm-hmm.
he's just like, God, not her again.
Ugh, God, my girlfriend, you guys.
My girlfriend and her stupid family.
Take my wife, please.
Yeah.
He's one of those boomer characters,
Yeah. And then, she calls him back screaming.
Oh my gosh. She's such a good screamer.
Oh.
Because it's so raw. You can hear like the guttural voice. She's screaming from her chest.
And that's like my favorite thing about Ari Aster is he's able to capture these moments of like pure anguish and pain.
Well, we first see that in Hereditary.
Yes, exactly.
And now it's just like, so pure after that.
Yeah. And then, he's also able to capture those awkward moments.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we get the scene of her showing up to their house and they're all like kind of looking around.
Oh, they're like, yes, sorry, your family just died and you're an orphan, basically.
And they're all just like, and like before she comes up, he's like, so, I told her she could come, but she probably won't come. And they're all like, what? And they're like,
he's basically trying to get, not be to blame for her joining. It's not a problem.
No. And then, but when they're all sitting there just like awkwardly talking,
yeah,
he's able to capture those moments of just pure awkwardness between people, or the like anxiety of talking to someone.
Yeah.
Like he's such a master at capturing emotions.
Yeah. Especially catching Mark and Chris kind of trying to like have that argument.
Yeah.
But they're both trying to not say anything about it at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Mark is not okay with Danny being there. But Chris is like, no, don't worry, she's not going to be there, but she is going to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And there's just confusion going around. But yeah, they do end up taking the plane out of there.
Yeah, and then Pele, talks to Danny, and he apologizes for what happened, and she starts to have like a panic attack.
Well, he's like uncharacteristically caring.
Yeah.
Out of the group.
Yeah, he definitely does not fit with the rest of them.
Yeah, you can tell he's the foreigner
Yeah.
because he's got that accent, but he's also like not just polite, like he cares about.
Yeah, he's a
everybody.
genuinely sweet person.
Mhm.
And then she has that panic attack, and then we get that awesome like
Transition.
the overhead shot that like Ari Aster is known for, like he does in her Hereditary when he's looking through the dollhouse, but it's actually the room and stuff.
That was great.
But he does that with this scene where she's walking into the bathroom, but as soon as she crosses the bathroom door, it turns into the plane.
The plane bathroom.
The plane bathroom.
The door closes and we're in the plane.
Yeah, we're in the plane and we're off to Sweden.
But she's freaking out.
Yeah.
She can't handle. And even when Pele was saying, hey, when he brings it up.
Yeah.
Basically, hey, like, I'm sorry this happened to you. Her frown.
She goes from like
her very famous frown.
Her pretend smile to that. Like. It just.
Yeah,
it's so good.
It's clearly her first traumatic experience, and what an experience to lose your entire family. But I mean, I'm only saying that because I know. I
mean, we also glazed over the traumatic way they went out. Oh, you know what I mean? Like what
did you think? What did you first think of when you saw the firefighter team go into the garage? What did you think was the scenario? Because they don't show a lot, and then you just see the gas lines taped to the exhausts of the car.
Yeah, so when I thought it was going to be like she just shot them both, and
that's what I was thinking.
But what happened was way worse.
Yeah,
like her sister poisoned them to death with the exhaust from the car, and when she tapes the other end of one of the tubes to her face.
Well, I mean, I feel like she did that because she knew she was going to try and escape, and she's like, this is a surefire way for me to go through. This is how I commit.
But I was just like, oh man, that is just that image of that tape going through, I'm like, that's horrific. That's awful. Like not just being in the room getting suffocated. You really wanted to kill yourself. But so we cut back to the plane scene, and they land in Sweden.
When they're on the plane and they do that transition, you see her kind of just like have her own freak out in the plane. She's going to be freaking out a lot in this movie. You can tell because it just happened. But she also wasn't prepared to be on a flight either.
No.
Because she was like, when she joins them, I didn't expect that.
It was like a week or two before the trip.
Yeah.
So no planning, just I'm gonna go.
But it's also Chris's fault for just bringing it up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, I'm leaving.
Chris is the worst, and that's gonna be like
our saying.
Yeah. For this episode is Chris is
the worst. Jinx.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when they were talking about joining the flight, that's like their first time they're arguing, is because they were at a party, they talk about the flight, and she's surprised because they didn't talk about it. And then when they get back to their place, they talk about how Chris doesn't say anything. He doesn't talk to her about anything, doesn't even discuss it, and he's like the least caring person she could ever be around.
Yeah.
Especially after what she went through.
But he's her boyfriend.
The boyfriend's the worst.
The worst.
Yeah.
But and then while she's in the plane, we get that the turbulence scene, and then it cuts to them driving through the countryside.
Yeah.
And
they made it to Sweden.
They made it to Sweden. It just cuts to them driving through the countryside, and that's when they get out of their car and they're introduced to the rest of the group. I guess, a bunch of them leave the commune and then come back with friends or just themselves to regroup for the May Day festival.
Yeah, because it's a big event going on. It's when the sun is out for like more than a day.
Yeah.
And even when it sets, it doesn't set all the way. It just kind of hangs out on the horizon and it comes back up.
Yeah.
so it's like a once in a year kind of thing.
Yeah. So we it's what, every 90 years or something like that, they said?
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's a ridiculously long time.
Yeah.
But they introduce or Pele introduces the group of friends to his brother, Ingrid.
They say his brother. I don't even know. They could just say it.
It's like, I mean, I think they're saying like metaphorically brothers, like like they shared a bucket of Coronas one day and now they're brothers.
That's how all my brothers are.
Yeah, exactly. You're my brother.
Yeah, and so they partake in some shrooms.
Yeah, and this is the most realistic depiction of drug use.
So I'm told.
So yeah, exactly. So I've heard.
Allegedly. But
according to a friend of mine.
But also like the depictions of shrooms in like other movies is the whole movie just turns into Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, exactly.
Colors are going crazy. Things are talking. But in this one, it's all very subtle.
It's just kind of like things are moving on their own, kind of like folding in on themselves and then reappearing and then folding in, almost like a kaleidoscope effect, or like a pulsating effect.
I think Pele described it the best when they were taking the shrooms sitting under the tree, and he said that nature is so like in tune with itself, meaning that the trees and the ground and the air and the wind, they all correlate together. It's almost like they're breathing.
Yeah.
And then when he says that, you can see the trees, like the branches, move with the wind as if it is breathing.
Yeah.
And then you start to take a look at like the bark of the tree and it's slowly moving.
It's like waving up.
Yeah. It's not moving, like the tree's not moving. It's just like the bark itself, when you focus a little bit on it, it's moving.
Yeah, exactly. And they're all having trips.
Mm-hmm.
Mark is kind of like freaking out.
Mark's freak out was the best.
He's like, the sun's not going down.
He's freaking out the way I would freak out normally.
Yeah, he's like, the sun's not going down.
What time is it?
What time is it? He's like, no way, it can't be
9 p.m.
9 p.m.
The sun is like where it should be during noon.
Yeah, and then he's just like, I'm just gonna lay down. And then he's telling everyone to lay down. And
you guys lay down too.
He's just freaking out. We almost forget to mention that Mark is played by the annoying cousin from one of the Narnia movies.
I didn't see Narnia.
Yeah, he was in like the third one, I think, but he was like the annoying redheaded cousin.
Oh, okay.
But he's got a glow up apparently, because now he's playing Adam Warlock.
And Adam Warlock is on shrooms.
Yeah, exactly. Adam Warlock is on shrooms.
And he does not like it.
Yeah, exactly. And then Danny starts to have like a panic attack.
Well, Mark triggers her when he says, "You guys are like my real family," and then that snaps her into her good trip where she saw plants growing through her hands, and it goes into a bad trip really quick where she stands up, she cannot be around them, and she walks off.
Yeah. So she like runs off, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. She power walks, then she runs, and then she sees people laughing at her, and they're not laughing at her. They're just laughing.
They're just laughing with her.
She's not laughing. No. She's getting paranoid, and so she runs into like this shed, and when she turns on the light and sees the mirror.
This is the first jump scare in the movie. Like, there's not very many jump scares. Mm-hmm. There's not much like horror in this per se, but like,
I mean, it's daylight the whole time.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. Whereas Hereditary was horror in the darkness.
Yes,
like you couldn't see anything. This is horror in daylight, which is really abnormal.
Right. For
horror movies.
I mean, that was my selling point to go see it.
Yeah, because usually horror movies are shot at night because you can hide things, but nothing is hidden in this.
That's Act 1.
Yeah.
Man, what an act, though.
Yep.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of highs and lows in that first act, and there's more highs and lows.
Yes. With Act 2. So Act 2. The compound is strange to the travelers, but completely normal to Pele. We find out that they're celebrating essentially a birthday for 2 seniors, so traditional songs and dances occur. Pele reveals a portrait to Danny, mentioning it's her birthday as well, and Chris forgot. They regroup with Connie and Simon, pass by a bear, and we see some disturbing art of a form of a love potion. The group then arrive at their sleeping quarters and find out everyone is going to be sleeping in the same area. Before they go to bed, Pele says they will have a big day tomorrow, and Atastupa will happen. Josh knows what it is, but is keeping it a surprise for the gang. The next day, the festivities begin, starting with breakfast, a very traditional manner. The seniors sit first, then everyone else. The seniors then bless the food, and they get carried off. We then see everyone staring up at a cliff, and we realize the seniors are up there as they bless the rune markings. The seniors jump off the cliff in a ritual sacrifice, terrifying the gang, but the compound are praising the sacrifice until one senior doesn't die on impact, so they kill him off to finish the ritual. The gang reacts differently to the sacrifice. Chris decides to do his thesis on Harga, the compound basically ruining Josh's work that he's been doing on the compound as well. Pele catches Danny packing her things as she tries to leave, but he convinces her to stay anyway. Danny goes to bed, but catches the gang sneaking off at night, ditching her there only for her to wake up and realize it was all a dream, but they're all still at the compound. That was Act 2. But man, right at the start, when we meet them at that compound,
everything's kind of creepy. It's like
so it's all daylight, but they're just you see them and they're like, this is kind of a cult.
Yeah, it's everything seems if you're from there, everything seems tranquil
normal
and peaceful and stuff like that. But it's so foreign to us because we're not used to that kind of like living.
We're not used to a very tight community.
Yeah.
And that's what they are.
They're a family essentially.
Yeah.
There's a huge family. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows everyone.
Everyone helps each other out.
You know, nobody argues. Nobody talks about like what is there. You know, everything is for everyone else.
Right.
So it's just foreign and creepy to us.
Mm-hmm. And they're all very polite too.
Yeah.
Like Mark is the asshole out of the group. They all stick out like sore thumbs.
Yeah. Some, in different ways. Like Mark is that weird pervert guy who doesn't care. And he's just looking at everyone and just sexualizing all the women.
Of course.
Josh is kind of like the nosy, wants to be in everyone's business because he wants to learn about them, but he just doesn't know when he's pushing too far.
He's pushing too far a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Christian is just the worst.
God, Christian. Of course.
The worst.
Can't believe he forgot Danny's birthday.
Yeah, what a piece of shit.
I know. Pele remembers.
Yeah.
And he forgot.
Yeah. I ship Pele and Danny.
Good for her.
Yeah. But so yeah, they get to the compound.
And it's a big day. It's a big celebration. There's other people there.
Yeah.
Simon and Connie, they kind of they start to ask like Danny and Chris how long they've been together. And of course Chris gets it wrong.
Yeah.
Of course. And then we find out that Simon and Connie are engaged.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but Ari Aster has this ability to add like little comedic elements in his movies, like to just cut tension.
Yeah.
Like everything is so tense. Like it's a quiet, peaceful community, but it's still tense.
Yeah.
For some reason, because these guys aren't.
That's two worlds colliding.
Yeah. There's something weird, and unnatural about it.
Why are you so nice?
Yeah, why? Yeah, exactly. You're just looking at them like,
I don't trust you.
You're too nice. But he's able to just add those like little bits in there, like the bear and stuff like that.
Oh, but that's quickly changed when the camera moves from the bear to the paintings of the love potion.
Yeah, it was so weird. Like the images were like,
the beautiful paintings in the beginning were like telling the story, but those same type of paintings are telling a very graphic.
Yeah,
way to
and
make
there's
this love patient.
one of the like sections. It's just like a hairy vagina.
It's just a hairy vagina.
You're just like, what?
The whole like screen was a hairy vagina for about a second.
Yeah, and then just other stuff, and then it cuts past that also, and then they walk into that beautiful like lodge.
Their living quarters. I want to sleep there. I don't care if there's 30 people there.
Yeah,
that thing looks sick.
It's what, 2 floors, and there's just beds all the way around, and then a big open space, and all the young people. Like Pele explains that the children live in this section,
right?
From like when they're born to age 18,
right?
And then when they're 18 to 36, they go on their pilgrimage,
right?
And when they come back, 36 to 56 or 57, they're
like their winter phases.
Yeah, he explains as seasons. So the infants are spring, then you get summer is the 18 to 36, then the winter is the 36 to 57, and that means that you're like workforce,
right? You're
like in the workforce, you help maintain everything. And then he says 57 to 72, and they're like, what happens at 72? And he just makes the joke like,
you're dead.
And they just kind of look.
That's a good one, Pele.
You're like,
but I'm not joking.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very serious.
But yeah, no, and there's just like beautiful paintings on the walls. They have
they have a lot of work went into this.
Yeah, they had the pictures of the past May Queens.
The May Queens, that's right. It's a little Hall of Fame.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like the more you follow these people, that feeling of eeriness kind of goes away for a second, and then it kind of pops back up, and then goes away, and then pops it back up. But yeah, so we're introduced to that, and then we get the breakfast the next day.
Ooh, the breakfast. The breakfast is well, that's when we get introduced to the seniors. It's they're kind of celebrating the seniors like it's their birthday.
It's their birthday. It's their 72nd birthday.
That's right. And it's a couple. It's a man and a woman.
Yes.
And they're treated like royalty. When they do the breakfast scene, they both pretty much they're all standing. But like when they sit down, everyone sits down.
Yeah, they're at the head of the table.
Yes.
They do some weird like chanting and like breathing. It almost looks like they're breathing each other's like yeah. They're like breathing each other in, and then like the ceremony ends, and then they sit down, have breakfast.
But like everything about the ceremony is like
it's quiet. Everyone's just quiet. It's almost like,
well, I think it's all very traditional and spiritual. Like everything means something.
It almost feels like a wake before what
That's right.
ends up happening. So after breakfast, they get lifted up and carried away to a cliff.
Mazel tov.
Yeah, exactly. Skull.
Yeah.
And they get carried away to a cliff top, and the rest of the people are down at the bottom, and they start to like cut themselves and bless these runes, and everyone's just waiting for something to happen. And then you get that scene of the lady just throwing herself off.
When this scene happened and she looks at Danny could tell what was going on.
Yeah,
just because of like
she knew immediately.
That's why she grabbed sense.
She grabbed it, and she just throws herself off.
That's right. And when she threw herself off and landed on that rock,
man,
and they zoom in and slow it down, and the face
peels
open. What'd you think about that part?
It looks like a spatchcocked turkey.
Oh, what?
Do you know what a spatchcocked turkey?
Please explain.
So when you spatchcock a turkey, you cut the spine off, you tear that out, and then you flip it around, and then you press the breast down to flatten it.
Dude, so that's just my Friday nights.
So
man.
It's just
What's
a flat.
up?
Yeah, exactly. So it's just a flat turkey, but it's intact.
Now explain all that again, but slower. I really want to visualize this.
But yeah, that face is just like.
Oh yeah.
And then
everyone's freaking out. Not everyone.
No.
Everyone is completely calm. They're all chanting. It's all great.
Yeah, but the
Simon
and Connie are just like, what the fuck? Like, you guys
call 911.
Yeah,
like, do you know where we are?
Yeah, exactly. Like, they're just freaking out, and Christian and Josh knew the whole time.
Yeah,
because he's been planning to do his thesis on this commune
for a long time. But
Christian and Danny were just completely caught off guard, and she's freaking out. He's throwing up, and Simon and Connie are just like cursing at everyone, trying to convince the old man to not throw himself off.
Yeah, now the old man steps up to the cliff.
Oh, and he throws himself off, and
he pencil dives off the cliff.
Yeah, and
you're not supposed to do that.
No, and he doesn't even hit the rock. He just lands on his feet and breaks his legs.
When you see it, it looks from like afar, and you can kind of see him bend.
Yeah,
you know, like when you drop like a bottle, like a half-empty water bottle, and it kind of squishes a little bit.
Yeah,
and then goes back to normal.
Yeah.
But the sound sounded like you're breaking off a chicken bone that's filled with jelly.
Yeah,
it was so gross,
and
I loved it.
And everyone starts to moan in unison, like
because he did it wrong.
Because he did it wrong, and he's in pain.
Yeah,
like they're it's almost empathy, or empathy.
Empathy.
They're feeling his pain,
right?
So they're all moaning at the same time, and the moaning stops as soon as these three people carrying a giant sledgehammer bash his face in to finish him off.
Oh my gosh! How many times did they bash his face in?
3 times.
3 times.
And yeah, you see the impact every single time. And it cuts to them back at the commune, and Connie and Simon are just pissed. They're getting their shit. They're about to leave. And Pele is telling Danny, this is normal. This is what we do. This is a celebration of like,
it's all like normal traditional stuff. This is supposed to happen.
Yeah, and the head lady that's like the master of ceremonies,
the elder, pretty much.
She explains to them it's like they would prefer to go out this way instead of old age and dying of sickness or anything like that. They want.
She really sold me on this line.
Yeah, she's like, they prefer to go out on their own terms.
Yeah, life is a circle in this commune.
Yeah,
it was their time to go, and rather than wait for a sickness and old age to take them out, they're going to give their life as a gesture.
Yeah,
by blessing everyone and everything, being treated like royalty.
Yeah,
this is their last hurrah.
Cyclical. Everything what goes around comes back around.
That's right.
And Pele tells them, it's normal.
There's no shame in it, and it's very, very different than what the Danny and Christian are used to.
Yeah. So he convinces her to stay, calms her down.
He also, when he's talking to Danny, he's also like explaining that she's like staying here for Christian, which is a terrible idea. And the whole time I'm like,
the worst.
Leave Christian here. And I mean, let Christian leave and you can stay here. And he's like, what is it about Christian? When you hold him, does he feel like home? And she's looking at him like, no.
Yeah.
Very, very enticing conversation.
Yeah.
Between Pele and Danny.
Like I said, he's a genuinely nice guy. He cares. They all care.
Right.
Not Christian.
Yeah, Christian sucks.
And Mark, who decided to stay early, comes out and he's just like, you guys didn't wake me up for that? He wanted to see something like that.
There was a deleted scene where we see what Mark is doing while that's happening.
Please tell me he's not like beating off or something.
No.
Because he said something about like it when they were showing the lodge. He's like, so how do you guys jerk off in here?
Oh, because everyone's sharing the living spaces?
Yeah, I'm just like, really, dude? You are the worst.
He's on his phone playing video games.
So is this why that movie's like 4 hours long in the director's cut?
Oh, the director's cut is awesome.
But it's like stuff like that?
No.
Okay.
No, there's big scenes that are like not important but very intriguing. There's a part where they're filming it at night. It's the only part you see where everyone is like doing stuff at night, and they're trying to sacrifice kids into the river, and Danny convinces them not to. And then right after that, she's trying to leave, and Christian is yelling at her for like always trying to run away from her problems.
Yeah.
And then that's when we first hear that Christian wants to do his thesis on the commune. Okay. But that's in a deleted scene.
Okay.
But it's a couple scenes like that are very long.
Yeah. But so he's able to convince her to stay, and this is when Christian decides to tell Josh that he's doing his thesis.
So we get the scene where Christian walks into the room and sees Josh, and they're talking about what just happened.
Yeah.
And what does Christian tell Josh?
He's like, I decided that I'm going to do my thesis on this town.
So you're going to steal my work?
Yeah.
You're going to skip practice and just show up the last quarter of the game and be the big quarterback that you are and take all my glory?
He is the worst.
The worst.
And everyone hates him.
Yep.
All of his friends already hate him.
Pele hates him. He's got some stuff. He's trying to get Danny.
Yeah.
Josh hates him because of what he just said.
And Mark, I think...
Mark hates him just because he's like, break up with Danny, dude.
Yeah.
Be my bro and go get some Swedish milkmaids with me.
Yeah.
And he doesn't, so he hates him.
Yeah. And then, yeah, that's the end of this.
No.
What else?
We get to
the
night.
Yes.
So when they're about to go to sleep, Danny can't sleep, so she gets some sleeping pills from Josh.
Yeah.
And that's when Danny has a very vivid nightmare.
Oof.
This was I saw this in theaters 3 times. And
you liked it that much?
So this is why I watched it 3 times. The first time because I really wanted to see it. The second time because I got invited to see it at Sinopolis, so very fancy theaters. They made a skull drink specialty for the night. And the third time I saw it was because it was the director's cut.
Yeah.
And each time that I saw it, this is when people started to walk out because it got too much. The nightmare scene.
Yes. So she wakes up and she runs outside and she notices that all the guys are in the car and they're taking off. And it shoots smoke out of the back, the exhaust from that killed her parents. And then you see the police or the firefighters come, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she shoots, her mouth starts to fill up with smoke and it's coming out and everything. And then she just wakes up and it's the next day.
When she's having that nightmare scenario and the smoke comes out of her mouth, we start to see flashes of her dead parents.
Her dead parents.
We start to see flashes of
the faces of the people that smashed into the rock.
We start to see flashes of the old man who didn't die right.
Yeah.
His head gets caved in by the hammer.
I think that's when his head gets caved in is when it cuts to the new scene. But yeah, she sees.
But the thing that's weird about it is they show it and then they show it all in reverse.
Yeah.
It's these weird visual effects that they do with the film that just make it like you're on a trip yourself.
Yeah.
Because you see everything happen. Some of the stuff goes in reverse. We see other clips from earlier in the movie. It gets really crazy. And then she wakes up. That's Act 2.
That's Act 2.
Act 3 starts. We meet a young girl putting a love rune under Chris's bed while he's asleep. Josh finds it, shows Paley and Chris, but they're distracted by an angry compound member who catches Mark peeing on the sacred tree. We then see Connie packing her things to leave, but can't find Simon, and she's told by a compound member that Simon left and he's sending Connie a ride, so she has to wait there. Danny gets news of this and is upset, but the girls of the compound bring her into the kitchen and they bake together, calming her down. Josh is being taught by the elders about interpreting runes by the disabled members of the compound, believing their minds are unclouded by normal cognition. Suddenly they hear a woman screaming, but nobody reacts to it. Then, supper time happens and Chris finds pubic hair in his food. Mark is then persuaded to follow a girl away from the group, and he does. Nighttime comes around. Everyone's asleep except Josh, who sneaks into the Elder's Rune Library to take pictures of the studies, but then Mark shows up and kills Josh. But then we realize it's not Mark, but someone wearing his skin. The next morning, the elders alert everyone of the missing rune books. They suspect Josh, but he's missing, so Danny and Chris are separated. Danny gets put in a traditional dress, drinks shroom tea while dancing with the other girls, and Chris, on the other hand, is taken to a private room to meet an elder, and he is told he must mate with the girl who put a love rune under his bed. Chris meets up with Danny. Danny wins the dancing competition, becomes the May Queen. She is showered with kindness and is taken to dinner table, where she eats first and everyone second, just like the seniors at the beginning. After dinner, Danny must bless the crops and livestock, leaving Chris behind, but Chris is sent to the barn to mate with the girl from earlier. He gets to the barn, he gets herbal Viagra smoked into his face, he is then shown the barn full of naked women, and then he mates with the girl he was promised. Danny returns from blessing the crops, catches Chris in the act. She freaks out, but the women calm her down. Chris finishes, runs off naked out of the barn, but everywhere he turns, he runs into his dead friends, Josh and Simon. He is then drugged with powder, wakes up paralyzed, and we see the elders have Danny, the queen, on stage, and they have 8 sacrifices for a ritual, but need a 9th, so Danny must choose a random member of the compound or Chris, so she chooses Chris. We see the sacrifices being wheeled into the ritual building, except Chris, he's being put inside a dead bear suit, and then he's burned alive, alongside the sacrifices, while Danny and her new compound watch. Now this third act, when that girl puts the love rune under Chris's bed,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's cute. That's
Aw,
awesome.
Yeah, sweet.
And then you remember the images we saw in Act 2 about how first it was the love rune, and then it was the hairy vagina, and then it was all this other gross stuff.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh no, Chris is going to have the worst day.
Yeah. Or the best.
No.
I mean,
in this compound, the great day.
yeah. Depending on how you look at things,
Oh yeah.
Glass half empty, half full kind of guy. You know what I mean? But yeah, so after finding the love rune, Josh continues to talk to the elders while Danny is searching for Simon, who's gone missing. But one of the commune members tells her, "Oh no, he left before you. He's going to send back a car for Connie." But we all know that's a lie.
Yeah.
Like, why would he leave like that
Mm-hmm.
if they're fiancés and they're going to get married?
Yeah.
But everyone just kind of plays it off, and Josh. Danny's walking through the commune,
Mm-hmm.
asking people, and the ladies pull her outside and have her help them make the meat tart, is what they call it. And so she's cooking that, and we hear a screaming off in the distance, but everyone's not paying attention.
Right.
They're just kind of going about their day. Danny stops for a minute, looks out, but kind of just continues doing what she was doing before. And we cut to that same day later on, and it's supper time, and you can already feel the tension between everyone, like the friend group, because Josh is pissed off at Christian.
Yeah.
What's his name? Mark. Everyone hates Mark right now because he got caught peeing on the sacred tree earlier.
When he pees on the sacred tree,
Oh my God.
and that old guy
Just
curses up a sweetest storm,
yeah.
and the nice compound people, that whole charade kind of goes away for a bit because he's pissed.
Yeah.
And he's not
The
happy.
sweet
Mark is just playing the dumb American, I
Yeah.
didn't know it was a sacred tree. Don't pee behind a tree, dude.
Yeah.
They have bathrooms there.
Yeah, I'm sure they have an outhouse.
Yeah. And when they're at the dinner table,
when he's like, I
think that guy's still upset about the whole sacred tree
and it
thing.
cuts to him, and he's just like
super pissed.
stone cold, pissed at him. He's like, I think he's gonna kill me.
and then it kind of turns to the girl.
Yeah.
The girl who put the love rune underneath Chris's bed. She's staring at Chris. Chris notices and stares back, and then he kind of sees Danny noticing it, so he looks away real quick.
Yeah.
And Danny looks at the girl, and she's like, something's up.
Yeah.
Between those two.
And so they all start eating their meal, and
Chris takes a big old bite.
yeah, takes a big old bite, and then he does that
His whole the camera just stares at his face from a side profile.
Yeah.
And you can see his face thinking, this isn't what I think it is it?
He pulls out a little hair.
A little pube comes out of his
and
biscuit.
Mark is the first one to point it out. He's just
yo, is that a pube?
he's just like, holy shit, you're eating a pube pie.
Danny even go, ew. I was like, Danny, you too, huh?
Yeah.
Pubes are just not on the table for everybody.
Yeah, they're just it's
oh, gross, dude.
It was one of those situations when I saw that, I was just like, oh man. It's like when you get a stray cat hair in your mouth and you're just you can't get it out. You're like, and then he pulls it out and it's a pube.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just
know who doesn't react? Pele.
Yeah.
Because he knows that's part of the love ritual.
Pele's one of them I don't mind crawling through the bushes to get to the picnic kind of guys. You know what I mean? He's just like, it's just a pube. No, ain't nothing wrong with pubes in your
in your biscuit.
In your biscuit.
So Chris is like, gross. Let me wash this down with this drink, and his drink is slightly redder than everyone else's drink. And you remember from the drawings of Act 2 what that meant.
Yep.
It was menstrual cycle season. It reminds me of that sound clip that's going around the internet. How do you like your tea? Honey, sugar? Or would you like me to pee in it?
Yeah.
Not pee, but
menstrual blood.
Yeah.
And he just gulps it up too.
He's like, oh, let me wash this pube down with this menstrual blood.
And then
so he's madly in love now because of the potion.
Yeah,
obviously.
He puts the cup down, and the camera just lingers at that cup. And he doesn't know what he just drank, but we all do.
Oh yeah.
And yeah,
super gross.
It's so gross. And then oh man, what happens after this? Okay, so it cuts to that night, right?
Yeah.
And again,
nighttime comes around and Josh sneaks into the room.
Okay, so it cuts to night, and again,
everyone's getting ready for bed.
Danny can't sleep, so she asks Josh for another sleeping pill.
Can I borrow a pill? Yeah, you gonna bring it back, bitch?
And then she falls asleep, and Josh
everyone falls asleep.
Yeah, and then Josh lays down, and you notice that his shoes are still on.
You sneaky bastard!
You were like, "What? What's going on?"
I thought he was gonna run away.
Yeah.
When I first saw that, I was like, "Oh, good. The black guy's not gonna die in this movie.
Oh no,
he's gonna run off and live."
Yeah.
He runs off to the sacred sacred room where the rune book is at.
Yeah, where they just got done, the day before, telling them like, these are our sacred books. They're written by our,
disabled
who happen to be products of inbreeding.
Yeah. They kind of gloss over that part.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys are, come on now.
Yeah. So they're products of inbreeding. They had explained to him that the only reason that these guys are oracles is because they're not unclouded because their minds are simple, pretty much. So I'm
definitely like
I'm thinking the books, like, they don't show you what the book is, but I'm thinking it's just like kid drawings with like a crayon.
It is. They show you.
Do they?
Yeah, it's just paint.
Oh,
it's like finger painting.
Yeah,
they're just right on the paper, and then they're supposed to interpret that.
Yeah,
I think it's definitely a way for the seniors to tell everybody that, oh no, we have to inbreed to make these oracles, that we have to interpret their minds so we can get closer to the creation of our circular life. But in reality, it's because they need to have sex and they can't leave the compound.
Yeah.
And so they're like, if we can just convince our family to inbreed, then we can make this happen. But how do we do that? God told me to do it. So we need these oracles and we have to make them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always God.
I know, right?
Yeah. God told me to have multiple wives.
God wants you to pay for my new car. So, drop 100 instead of a 5 into the
God
basket.
wants your wife to be with me. Like,
you see that meme of Jerry Springer in heaven? And now let's bring out Mary's husband, Joseph. Oh,
yeah. But so he sneaks off into the library with all the manuscripts and stuff for the sacred books.
Why is he in there?
Because he decided to take pictures when they told him not to.
He did it because he's like, these are gonna be the first pictures to ever leave this place of like their learnings and stuff. It's gonna be huge.
But he's interrupted when he hears someone behind
Josh.
him.
And Mark.
Yeah, he looks back and he's like, "Oh, is that Mark? What are you doing?"
Mark, shut the fuck up! I'm sneaking in here, dude.
Yeah, and as soon as he says Mark, he gets hit in the back of the head by another person with the same hammers they used on the old couple.
Yeah, the big ass hammers.
Yeah, and that kills him. Like, he's sitting there twitching.
But the POV of Mark, or Mark's. We thought you think it's Mark. It's some guy wearing Mark's skin.
Yeah, he's wearing his clothes.
Yeah, was naked.
Yeah. No, he was wearing his clothes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was wearing his clothes from that day, like a sweater and stuff like that. And he had the face
skin mask.
Yeah, skin mask and he's just like breathing.
But you can see like the little sockets of where the eyes are supposed to be.
It just looked
so gross.
It looked so gross, and like Josh is just twitching and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then they pull his body away. You just see a streak of blood. Classic horror kill.
And then it's the next day.
Hey, someone took some shit from the rune library.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say it's the foreigners, but
yeah, they're like the elders have just come out and they're like, well, someone stole something, but if you guys want to return it, we won't leave guards. We're not gonna name names, but if you come out,
all the compound people were like, was it us? No. Danny and Chris, was it us? Well, it wasn't the compound.
Yeah, and then Christian just like immediately takes it upon himself to apologize and be like, we are not associated with Josh. And I'm like, you're a dick, dude. Immediately just throw your friend under the bus instead of being like, where's my friend?
Yeah. Danny, that was her first question.
Yeah, like, where's Josh? And they're like, oh, he must have ran off. But Christian is like, of course.
Oh, I know, right?
Josh is a dick.
Of course.
Everyone else is a dick besides him.
Well, they don't trust him, so they separated them.
Yeah.
They separated them, and then Danny gets this is like the first steps of her being initiated into the gang, is we're going to put her in this very traditional dress, and you're going to take some more mushroom tea. Yeah. And you're going to dance.
Yeah. So, they split the guys and the girls, and, this is the first time we see any of the foreign people wearing the same outfits as the commune. So it's kind of
it's just Danny.
Yeah, it's just Danny.
Yeah.
So
it's
kinda,
Danny specifically.
Yeah, it's like a hint at them like accepting her.
Well, I mean, the first hint is technically when Pele was like convincing her to stay.
Yeah.
But that was just because he's friendly. He's there. He's a friend. He wants you to stay.
But this time it's
everyone.
Actually like everyone accepting her. And, Christian starts to realize something's off. Like, I feel like...
Well, Christian's separated at this time.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know this.
No, but, he gets led... She goes off with the girls, and they're, they put the traditional garb on her, the little flower ring around the head, and it's a big dance competition.
Yes.
So, I guess the name of the game is everyone gets high, and then we just start doing circles around this pole, and if you fall, you lose, and you're out.
Yes.
So there's one.
But the way that the lady explains it is terrifying.
Yeah.
She's saying there's evil spirits trying to bring your body down.
And it's a competition of stamina. I'm like, damn.
The only way we can fight off these spirits is by dancing, basically. And if you fall, you die with the spirits.
Yeah. It's such a good scene. Like, she's just going around in circles and just having a good old time. And you can tell that she's just kind of like forgetting everything. And,
she's also super high.
Yeah. And then Christian is led into the barn.
Yeah.
Where he meets with the elder.
Man, this looked like the interrogation room when he walked in there.
Yeah.
Because it was creepy.
2 chairs, white walls.
Yeah, 2 chairs. They're like 2 feet apart. And they're like, his first instinct is, I have no idea where the books are. I will look for them as soon as you let me. I have no connection with Josh anymore. And what does the elder tell her?
The elder tells him that, you've been approved to mate with the redheaded girl, Pele's sister.
Yeah.
So you're gonna bear her children.
Bear.
Yeah. So he's just like, oh, okay.
No backbone.
No,
doesn't
nothing.
question it.
How
old is the girl, by the way? He doesn't even ask.
Nope. And he's just like, he's just shocked.
Mm-hmm.
And he walks out, and then he sits down and watches the rest of the competition.
Well, the first thing he says is, I think I ate her pube in my biscuit.
Yeah.
So gross.
Yeah. But, he joins the rest of the group and is watching the competition. And,
by this point, Danny is super high.
Yes, Danny's super high. There's like 8 of them left.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going and going until there's only 2. Danny and one other girl.
Well, there's 3 of them.
Or 3 of them.
There's Danny, 2 other girls, but one of the girls is talking to her in Swedish. And Danny's
it was gibberish.
Well, it was gibberish, and then so she's like, I don't speak Swedish. And then she's like, just try it.
And then she starts speaking gibberish, and then the other girls start speaking gibberish back, and they're like, we can communicate.
Yeah.
And then the 2 girls collide, and Danny is the winner.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So everyone just starts cheering her. and they all like pick her up and they put the crown on her.
You're the new May Queen, Danny.
Yeah, you're the new May Queen. They take pictures with her. Everyone's like, you're a family now.
Yeah, Pele goes in. He's like, Danny, you're the May Queen. Plants a big kiss on her.
Big old kiss. And
now, did you cheer when this happened?
Fuck yeah.
I was like, yes, Pele, get in there, dude.
Get it.
Fuck Chris, dude.
Yeah, you're the worst.
Chris is about to bang some girl. Of course you can kiss Danny, Pele.
But everyone's like cheering for her, and he's just kind of sitting there like sulking because he's mad.
Oh yeah, because he's not getting any attention anymore.
Yeah.
And now the girl that was basically a background character, she's getting all the attention.
Yeah.
I was like, good. That's what is supposed to happen, Chris.
Good for you. Good for her. And so they take her to the table, and
they also like lift her up.
Yeah, she's like riding on like a board.
Her over to the table.
Yeah,
they're all chanting for her. It was great.
It was great. She's having a good old time. They sit her down. They do the herring thing where she's supposed to swallow it in one gulp, and everyone's just like laughing and having a good time.
She's like, and they all think it's so funny, like a little kid. Like they treat her like a little kid that can't finish the fish.
Yeah, but they're all happy and stuff like that. And Chris is just sitting at the table, just like
super high. Also,
yeah. Well, that was after like they bring the cup to her to him and stuff like that, and they're like,
drink this specific cup.
Yeah, and he's just tripping balls and. This scene was so good because, Danny's sitting in the chair with the plants.
Oh, man.
And the plants are all kind of like swirling around her.
She moves her hand and the plants go up underneath her.
Yeah, they're like following her. And at the same time, Christian is tripping and he's looking at the pig. And the pig is kind of just like oozing and stuff like that. You can tell he's having a bad trip because his is like this carcass. And hers is this beautiful plants like growing around her. And he's talking to the old man next to him, and the old man just claps in his face. And you could tell he's just like, what did you do?
His whole like head just
it's just like filled with sound.
Right.
It was great.
All his senses just go nuts with that clap.
Yeah.
Hey, did you notice when Danny is being carried by the crowd that in the background the trees make the face of her sister?
I did not. And I've seen this movie like 3 times.
So in the background, because the whole time that she's high, the entire screen is pulsating.
Yeah.
If you look at the flowers, they're pulsating, plants and everything. But in the background by the trees, it makes the face of her sister with 2 eyes, but like one smaller than the other, and the hose coming out of her mouth.
Again, this is why Ari Aster is a genius.
Well, this wasn't exactly an Easter egg also, but when the people are coming to her congratulating Danny that she got a May Queen, her parents walk past her.
Yeah.
And she says like, Mom.
Yeah.
And then she looks around, she can't find them.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's such a very like that's something that someone that's been through something traumatizing like that, after being love bombed like that, they would see like the silver lining is actually the opposite for them, like a black lining.
Well, I was going to say it's more like because she's looking for her parents and they kind of disappear into the crowd of the rest of her new surrogate family.
Oh,
so they're to me, it was kind of like a sense like, oh, I'm finally starting to lose my parents and gaining a new family. Like I lost my parents in this crowd, but I'm gaining this crowd of family.
She's moving on.
Yeah, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes sense because she is technically moving on. That she is being a different person now.
Yeah, she's much happier.
She's letting go of what she lost.
Yeah, and
which is actually, I never thought about that when I saw them both. I thought she was just really high, and when she's high, she gets those traumatizing experiences come back.
Yeah, but it's funny because she's not, because in previous scenes when she was getting high and those traumatizing experiences came up, she freaked out.
Right.
This time she was just like, Mom, and then lost and was just like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
And just forgot about it. Like even in the back of the ground, like it's easy. She didn't notice it. Like she's starting to not notice things anymore.
Which is actually going to be more beneficial for her because now that she is moving away from that kind of life and she's getting a new family.
Yeah.
The next time she can have the mushroom tea, it'll be more of like a existential mind-opening thing for her.
Yeah.
Kind of like the rest of them do.
Yeah.
So now she's kind of leading more into that group and they can have more rituals together.
Yeah. And then Yeah, so after the feast, she's
It's
told,
time to leave.
yeah, it's time for her to go bless the crops.
The way they take her in this carriage, I was like, okay, where are the horses?
And it's all the women pulling her. But as she goes to bless the crops, there's the girl that earlier gave Christian the tea, tells him to like follow her.
Nods over to the barn.
Yeah, and they're like leading him with like a rope, like pedals.
Don't do it, Chris.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
But he's stoned out of his gourd, and he's just like, oh, okay, I don't care.
Dumb white guy.
Yeah, and he walks into the barn, and that's when the A24 staple.
A24, you making a movie? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so check off drugs, check off naked old white people,
Yeah,
and
naked
check
people.
off just naked people in general.
Yeah, and he just walks into that room with all the naked women.
Yeah,
and
he
they're
did.
They're just kind of like leading him into the like weird like sex ritual.
Yeah, I leave the room when I'm showing this to people. I'm like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
So,
it's
you guys have fun with this part.
oh man, and they like blow that Viagra smoke in his face.
Yeah,
and he's just having a good old time, I guess.
he looks
scared.
super confused.
He's scared. He's tripping. He's still tripping. He probably seen like demons or something.
But yeah, we go back to Danny blessing the crop. They bless the crops in such a weird way.
Yeah,
They make a hole in the ground. They pour grain down it. Then they put a big whole steak, like a raw steak, on top of it. Crack some eggs, and then bury it.
and they're making a breakfast.
Sure, I guess this looks like a good breakfast to me. But you want to bless the crops that way? That's the Swedish way,
Yeah.
you know. And
How
they
did
do all the
it?
traditional.
How did they do it in Mexico?
Same way.
Yeah. They cook the steak first, and then the eggs,
then
and
they bury it.
Yeah, then they bury it. But yeah, so she finishes up with that, and then goes back to the barn and catches him in the act. And of course,
I'm glad they didn't show it, because just her looking through the peephole and hearing all the moans was enough for me.
Yeah,
And it was definitely too much for her because she freaks out.
she freaks out. She leaves. He, of course, is not. He's still going.
Right.
And he finishes, of course, like because he's the worst and he's high.
But the way she reacts was, of course, like normal. But I didn't expect all the women that were like helping Danny to try and calm her down. I didn't expect this part because I've never seen anything like it. They all pretty much
In like unison. Like,
in unison start to like cry with her.
yeah.
And then they start to like breathe together, and then they start to scream together. And I thought it was really cool because this is a character who was trying to express her emotions with all the people that she has left in her life are emotionless.
Yeah.
Chris, Josh, and Mark.
Nobody who she showed up originally with gave a shit about her.
No, she didn't have anyone left.
Like the only person that cared was Pele. Everyone else was just like, "Oh, we're sorry that your family died. All right, let's go to Sweden."
Yeah.
Like,
And when she was going through another traumatic experience, seeing your boyfriend do that, and then to be surrounded by people who are grieving with you, showing those emotions with you together.
yeah, it helped her jump back up.
And it also kind of looked like she was going through her grieving process super fast.
Yeah,
because it was cries, breathing, screaming, and I was like, that's how it's pretty much supposed to be. It just takes weeks between.
Yeah,
But when she had that, I was like, these girls are really trying to care.
I was like, I wish I had that.
Yeah.
My last breakup.
Yeah, that's a very big support system.
Yeah.
Nothing's gonna come between them.
Yeah.
And then we get in this scene, when this scene happened in theaters, everyone cracked up. I didn't crack up because I thought it was like a very like polarizing issue, because this is what Danny's going through and this is what Chris is going through. And when Danny and her girl gang scream, it cuts to Chris and like the 10 naked ladies moaning in orgasm.
Yeah, in unison.
In unison also.
Yeah.
Everyone cracked up at that scene, and I was like, I don't think it's supposed to be funny.
No, you guys are missing the point.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's funny to you, go ahead and laugh. I'm definitely when I'm watching a movie like this, I'm looking into every single thing as a meaning.
Yeah,
but when it's when it's a scene like that, I can see why people laughed.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
But yeah, so
Chris finishes.
he finishes, and then this is when they blow the paralyzing dust in his face.
Yeah, when he he sees Simon.
Yeah.
Simon is hung up by these hooks, and he's got his lungs on his back. He's got the Viking angel torture thing hanging on, and yeah, he gets blown into this. I don't know what this dust is, because it knocked him out, and then he wakes up paralyzed, and that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Remember we were talking about Wolf Creek, was it? No,
Yeah.
Wolf Creek.
Yeah.
When the guy paralyzed that girl and he starts to torture her.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's terrifying. But to be Christian and be paralyzed also, but now he's got to watch, he's basically on trial and he can't do anything. That sucks.
Yeah.
But when we see Danny next, she looks like a completely different person.
Yeah. She's just kind of unfazed by everything now.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's just kind of like the unfazed section of grieving or whatever, where you're just like, fuck it, whatever. Yeah. And I think this is where they put all the flowers on her and stuff like that.
What do you think the flower suit meant?
I don't know, like everything in, you know, with related to Midsommar, it's always something like, you know, new spring, like renewal and stuff like that.
Okay.
You know.
Oh, that's good. I can see that. When I saw it, I was because everyone had, when all the girls are about to start the dancing competition, they all have a little flower crown.
Yeah.
And then when Danny wins, she has a bigger flower crown.
Yeah.
With a handle. And I think that when all the girls saw Danny go through that traumatic experience and how she freaked out, I think they saw a person that needs an extra boost in positivity and praise. So they're like, we need to double the crown. We need to double the flowers she has.
More flowers.
We need to make her
just bury her in flowers.
Brand new dress made out of flowers. She needs so much positive reinforcement and love that we need to cover her in all these flowers to the point where she can't move. So she needs that much to try and convince her to stay and leave her past life behind her, which is kind of why she's just sitting there.
Yeah.
She's just sitting there trying to figure out her life.
Yeah. Much. And then, so the big trial of Christian, well, they bring out the sacrifices.
Yes.
There's 8 of them.
Mm-hmm.
The friends that showed up.
Yeah.
And I think the elder couple.
The elder couple count.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The elder couple,
2 more. Two
Josh,
more
Mark.
Who?
It was the elder couple, Josh, Mark.
Connie,
Simon.
And then the 2 guys.
And then which 2 guys?
Pele's brother.
Okay.
And then the guy who's really mad about the Mark peeing on the sacred tree.
Oh yeah. Okay. So those 2.
And then they need 1 more.
They need a 9th one, and you know they pretty much tell Danny, like, you know,
you need to choose, but between Chris and a random person. But how do they choose this random person?
Yeah, exactly. I want to know how you guys choose. Is it like straws, like whoever picks the shortest one? Like,
well, they bring out an old school bingo machine.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, you seniors would have this. Dude.
Yeah, exactly.
They start to crank the ball machine, and a little ball rolls out, and it's got a rune, and it says the name of some guy. And so he comes up, and he's like, all right, Danny, this guy or Christian.
Time to pick your prize. Behind door number 1, we have a random villager.
Yep.
Behind door number 2, we have your ex-boyfriend.
You just caught him having sex with like 10 other girls.
So who's it going to be? Mm-hmm. Who's the lucky contestant that gets to get sacrificed? Yeah. And of course, she just picks Christian immediately.
Of course.
And they put him in a bear suit.
Oh man, when they put him in the bear suit, I was like, oh, hopefully they'll show how they did that. They did.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's like a surgeon, doctor, or whatever, teaching kids how to cut open a bear and make it into a suit.
Yeah.
So I was like, sure, they're going to be future doctors anyway.
Yep.
So might as well teach them young.
Yeah.
Because this is going to happen a lot.
So,
and they put him in the bear suit, and they wheel him into the ceremonial sacrifice room. And when they bring in the 2 guys, What do you remember? What they give them?
I don't.
They give them sap from this ancient tree, and they say, take this from like the tree. It will give you no pain. And so they're like, oh, okay, we're gonna be sacrificed, then we're not gonna feel anything. Cool. So they each take it. They take the sap, and then they're like, all right, well, let's light this place on fire. So they light it on fire, and we see the two guys staring at each other, and then suddenly start screaming in pain. The sap doesn't work.
They lie.
They're burning alive. And then once everything starts to catch on fire, the whole compound is watching. Danny starts freaking out because she's watching everything could happen. So then the compound starts freaking out. And the way they freak out, they look like mental asylum patients who have just escaped.
Just they throw themselves on the floor.
Yeah,
and everyone's just like riling in pain.
Right.
And just screaming in unison. Oh, like everything they do is in unison. They're like almost like a hive mind.
Yeah.
But everyone's like empathetic. Like they feel each other's pain.
Right.
And this is what Danny needed from the beginning. Someone to show her empathy, to actually acknowledge her existence and what she's going through.
And you see Danny's face, and it's slowly, but like surely happening to her.
Yeah.
Because she goes from freaking out, catches her breath a little bit,
to
realizes everything, and she starts to
smile.
Yeah.
And that's when we get the credits. It's Finn.
We get my favorite good for her ending.
Yeah.
Good for her movies are my favorite.
Yeah. It's definitely a feel good movie.
Oh yeah. Take your boyfriend.
Yeah.
to go see this. And if he relates to Chris even a little bit,
you just anytime that Chris is on the screen, you look at him and just be like,
yeah,
just throw daggers.
Do you side with Chris in this one?
Yeah. So what do you think of Chris? Like, yeah, definitely. Oh man, this was such a good movie, and I'm so glad I picked it.
It was a great pick. I'm glad you went for this one.
Yeah, I like I said, we did the previous 2 episodes. We did happy-go-lucky movies,
of course,
and I just wanted to bring the room down.
You need to.
Yeah.
I mean, you only bring this room up.
Yeah. Like it can't all be fun vampire and werewolf movies.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to do a movie about grief and trauma.
I loved it.
Yeah.
This movie is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you picked it. And I'm glad that everyone else got to hopefully be pushed a little bit to watch this movie also.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone's seen Midsommar. Come on, it was huge,
Yeah.
It did very well in the box office. And but it definitely cemented Ari Aster into being like the next big director. I still haven't seen Beau is Afraid, but what do you think about him being moving on from this movie to be making Beau is Afraid?
Beau is Afraid is definitely a different type of movie. Like I said in a previous episode, you can't put that movie in any single category. It's a little bit of everything, and it's a very divisive movie. I enjoyed it, but I know for a fact that a lot of people will not.
If you really like Hereditary, Midsommar, would you see Beau is Afraid?
Yes.
Okay.
I would definitely watch it. If you're a diehard Ari fan, then definitely watch Beau is Afraid. And inform your own opinion.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not for everyone. I enjoyed it.
Hey, Midsommar is not for everybody.
No. Yeah, exactly.
But we both enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite? There's not a lot of kills in this movie, but what was your favorite kill in Midsommar?
The old people.
Of course.
The old people.
It really stole the show.
The old people, or that haunting image of her sister with that tube taped to her face.
Yeah.
That
slow zoom in.
Oh, that is such an awful scene. Like, just so quiet and just, it's so gnarly. And
then it cuts to Danny's reaction to
her. It cuts to Christian answering the phone.
That's right.
Like, we don't ever see her physically screaming.
Well, until he gets there.
Yeah, until he gets there. But you just hear that screaming over the phone, and as soon as you hear that, your heart just sinks into your stomach. You're just like, oh, fuck.
Man, Florence Pugh has such a guttural cry.
Yeah.
It's very real, very raw.
Ugh.
Also, did you notice in Danny's room, she has a big painting of a bear and a princess?
No.
Yeah, in the background.
So there's just like little things foreshadowing.
Oh yeah,
things to come. The bear, the queen, the May Queen thing.
The paintings, the her sister's face in the background of the images. I mean, the background of the trees. There's a lot to catch in this movie.
Yeah, it's all in broad daylight. Like he really captured like the horror in the daytime.
Mm-hmm. Very hard to do.
Yeah.
Well, it's also another very hard thing to do is ending this episode.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was another episode of Monsters, Movies, and Mayhem.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, guys. We got tons of videos coming out.
Get out of here. I mean, we have the buttons for it. Like,
I'll figure that out.
You figure that out. So next time we will have an air horn. Yeah. All right. Signing off.
Monsters, Movies, and Mayhem.